Hello and welcome to Strive Defense Dialogue. Today, as you see on screen, my guest is Air Marshal Amit Tiwari. Sir, welcome to the show.
Brigadier Bhatia, good evening, and thanks a lot for calling me here.
Sir, as we were discussing the other day, a lot is being said about India-US relations. So, though we thought at one time that India and US relations are going in the right direction because of various reasons, but like we've seen in the past, something happens in between, and there continues to be uncertainty in the relationship between the two countries. Though India and United States are world's two largest democracies, we share common grounds on strategic and economic domains, counterterrorism, maritime security, technology transfer. We've had Howdy Modi. We've had Namaste Trump. Then there is a China factor which is also there. There is a China is not accepting the US primacy. India has border disputes, regional influence. China needs India both because India is the only major power which shares a land border with China. And in case there US and India become allies, so another front can be opened through India. Then, without Indian Navy and Indian Air Force, the Indo-Pacific stretch of where you want to put pressure on China is useless without India. And now we see, on the other hand, suddenly tariffs, sanctions, divergent responses to global crisis. India is growing as a major economy. So, in fact, both nations are responsible to foster global peace. They should come together. But it's not happening, sir, because probably we're not understanding each other's interest. So, sir, I'll request you to please examine where India and US have differed and what lessons lie in that. I'll request you to bring in the historical perspective, and then we will come to today's situation, sir. So, my first question to you is, the very first incident where we were looking at cooperation from the US was Kashmir in 1948. India expected support for India's sovereignty when the raiders had come, and despite legal accession of state of Jammu and Kashmir, we were in a way coaxed, forced to go in for UN interventions. So starting from there, then we go on sequentially with the actions which have been taken where we were taken by surprise. So I now hand over the stage to you for your opening remarks as well as to answer this question, sir, how it started. At first time we realized in 1948 that US is looking for his own interests. So over to you, sir.
Thanks, Rakesh. Thanks a lot. And you made the job, your opening remark made the job very easy. So what we will do, we'll go over a few events which have taken place since India's independence. But right in the beginning, I also read the newspaper, see on WhatsApp, there is a sense of betrayal that US really didn't support us. So, and that's what agitates people that we thought US is our good partner and good friend, and we did so many functions together. But the thing is, you also must have read somewhere that nothing is permanent, only the self-interest is permanent. So before we start, I'll just to create a base, create a framework. I'll tell about two theories. There are a lot of theories about foreign policy. There are two main theories. One is the realist theory of foreign policy. Okay, now realist theory of foreign policy says that there is anarchy in the world. There is no big, there is no small. Every country wants to gain power. Okay, and so they will fight with each other and gain power. So they want to protect their national interest. National interest is the uppermost thing, and national interest covers survival, sovereignty, and security. To get survival, sovereignty, and security, it is very important to have military and economic power. Now, having this, and in case your national interest is at stake, the realist theory says that we can sacrifice moral, ethos, international norms, international laws, international institution like UN, etc., in case it meets my national interest. So that is the realist theory. Just we will discuss this towards the end also. The other is idealist theory. Now, idealist theory is just on the other end of the spectrum. It says it is not about the power, it is not about the self interest, it is about mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and cooperation with everyone. States must act according to ethical principles, democracy, human right, justice. International law and institutions should be respected and followed. It gives preference to cooperation over conflict, says the conflict is not inevitable. With dialogue, diplomacy, and collective security, we can achieve everything. So this is on one end spectrum. This realist theory is on the other spectrum. Now let's go over our Kashmir crisis. The Kashmir crisis started immediately after India got independence, and this Article 370 was signed, and the Kashmir became part of India. Pakistan sent those Qabilis in the Gaba Qabilis sent its army, and they occupied part of Kashmir. Since then, it has become an issue between India and Pakistan. India considers Kashmir as an integral part of the country, which is correct, and Pakistan having attacked and occupied part of it, and it considers it a bilateral issue. Now, right from the 48, India wanted everyone to see it the way we want to see it. But here, because it really doesn't concern US that what is happening between India and Pakistan. Pakistan is more useful to US because it is next to Afghanistan, and it will help. It is supposed to help US in stopping Russian or that time Soviet influence. So US followed that idealist policy, that mutual dialogue, and in case you can't sort it out, let's go it to send it to UN or carry out some plebiscite, etc. It really totally forgot that the plebiscite, the basic condition was that Pakistan to withdraw all its forces and status quo. That part it never insisted. But see here the basic difference came, and the difference continues till now also to very large extent, where India feels it is a bilateral thing which we can sort it out, and the Shimla agreement also says that, whereas US feels slightly tilted to Pakistan, that, and in recent statement of President Trump also, that he will mediate between India and Pakistan and sort this out, which is a no-go for us. So that is, the US sees it from different point of view, we see it from different point of view. He has got his interest in that point of view, and we have got our interest. Are you here? Yeah. So subsequently, if we go sequentially, the next major event was Korean War.
Correct.
So Korean War took place between 1950 and 53, where North Korea attacked South Korea. The Korea was divided around 38 parallel, but North Korea, supported by China and USSR, attacked South Korea and almost pushed it. Now, the US came in support of South Korea. Here, one funny thing happened. this was one of the first major military engagement which was with the UN sanction. And
Correct.
you'll be wondering how Security Council allowed when the Russia also had Soviet Russia also had the veto power.
Correct.
The day it was being decided, Soviet Russia had boycotted the meeting. So that the day he boycotted the meeting, this resolution was passed that this North Korean advance will be registered by UN forces. That's how England and Australia also joined US, and this war took place. Now, in this war, US wanted India to support US or the allied forces. It also, in a manner, wanted India to take part from their side, send its
Yes.
army, etc. Okay, and the expectation of US had increased because around that time India had famine, and US had supplied wheat to us under PL 480. No
Correct.
other country had helped. We had a massive famine, and US had supplied. So US said that okay, now India should support. But Prime Minister Nehru took a decision that we are non-aligned and we really cannot go into one camp and start supporting. So he
But
advocated that
we did send some troops, if I'm not wrong, sir, in the mediation and supervisory role.
subsequently, and
Okay.
under UN this thing, we didn't send
Yes.
anyone for fighting the war,
Okay.
whereas US wanted us to send people to fight the war.
Correct.
Okay, so now we said no. It's like we are member of non-aligned, so we really cannot support you. Go in the bloc. The ideal thing to do is dialogue and diplomacy. Please take the case to UN. Let's discuss there. We became idealist out here. UN wanted India to join its own camp, which didn't happen. So there was a divergence of view between two countries.
And Pakistan also, though supported, but they had also forwarded the medical unit for thing, and subsequently, as far as diplomatically, they supported the US actions.
They
Is it
supported.
that?
Well, it will come subsequently also as we go over the sequence of
Okay.
events
Okay.
that Pakistan really didn't mind joining one camp or the other. Like presently also it is almost in the lap of China. So see, India and Pakistan have got different standing in the world. We really can't compare ourselves to Pakistan. Okay. Next we come, as we follow the events, this Suez crisis took place in 1956. What happened in 1952? Nasser overthrew the monarchy. He became the leader. Until the monarchy was there, Egypt was kind of closer to the Western governments. When Nasser came, it started becoming closer to USSR. Okay. And
This has
when
been
it
the trend, sir. This has been the trend. Wherever there is a monarchy in the world, sir, we can take example of Iran.
Iran also,
Till
yeah,
half Iran was the monarch, so they were closer to the US because, and in a way,
Hmm.
wherever there was a then revolution, then the US. So primarily, US does not want a strong leader in any country.
True.
So, and that trend is visible even today.
That trend is visible today also. Yeah.
Right. Please.
So now US and England were helping Egypt earlier in they were paying for that Aswan dam which was coming up.
Correct.
So when it started becoming closer to in USSR, they stopped the help. When they stopped the help and Egypt wanted the money, so Egypt went ahead and nationalized the Suez Canal.
Hmm.
When Egypt nationalized the Suez Canal, uh, Britain and France and Israel together, they asked Israel to attack Egypt, occupy Sinai Desert, come to that side. When Egypt will resist, we will come and declare, get the ceasefire done, and in the process, we'll occupy the Suez Canal. So they started this. The world was watching, US was watching, India was watching, US intervened and almost forced. They threatened Britain that we will sell your pound sterling bonds in the market. So England and France backed out, Israel backed out, and the canal came with the Suez, with Egypt. Now India also was against this, and it came very much in discussion. As far as US was concerned, he was more bothered about the trade going through that canal. He was more bothered about his broader policy for Middle East,
Hmm.
because the rest of the, he was thinking, in case this happens, the rest of the Arab countries will go against me. So it was his self-interest which forced him to intervene against his long-time partner England
Hmm.
and get this thing. As far as India was concerned, we saw it a colonial interference or infringement of Egypt's sovereignty. We said that it is Egypt is an independent country and you have no right to attack. In case you have an issue, go to UN. Okay, we saw it from different idealistic perch, whereas the US was more towards the trade and what was happening there. So there was a divergence of view. We really didn't join US camp as far as Swiss crisis was concerned. Next comes in 1956 only, where there was a massive difference between India and US.
The
The
US.
Hungarian crisis took place. Now, in October sometime, there was a demonstration in Hungary, and the demonstration went against the communist government, and the government was overthrown. A new prime minister came. This was after Stalin had left and Khrushchev was president in USSR, and Khrushchev had liberalized a lot of things. So these guys in Hungary thought that we can gain independence. So that's how this agitation started. Now, by end of October, USSR almost agreed that you can become independent.
Hmm.
Okay. They had initially registered, but then their forces faced a lot of resistance, and they said, "Ki, okay, you can gain independence." But now, what happened on 3rd November or so? That time, the Prime Minister of Hungary was once Mr. Nagy. He declared that they will be leaving Warsaw Pact. So that was the last straw. That is the time USSR sent its forces, its tanks, aircraft, everything, crushed that rebellion. Lot of people died in that. Now, US here, because it is a thick of that Cold War time, US tried to create an alliance against what USSR was doing, that it's trying to crush a democracy and there is a civilian casualty and there is genocide and what all, everything there. And it tried to create an alliance of all like-minded country. India was also asked to join in, but India didn't
Correct.
join in. India said that there should be dialogue and diplomacy. There should not be any violence, and the matter should be resolved in UN. US took it as India is tilting towards Soviet Russia. That's why it is saying that. But we were not tilting towards anyone. We were non-aligned and we just followed a very straight path. You will see when we cover all this, in Indian foreign policy, if anything was constant, it was our independence.
Correct.
Let it be Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi, Atal Bihari, or present dispensation of Prime Minister Modi. We always maintain a very straight path that we will not compromise with our sovereignty in any manner.
Absolutely.
So next we come to Cuban Missile Crisis.
Hmm.
It was a like ultimate in Cold War. It was the time when countries came very close to a nuclear war from
Great.
both superpowers. Okay. Now, 1961, US sent people, Bay of Pigs happened, they tried to overthrow Fidel Castro, but that didn't happen. Now, sometime in October, 14 October 62, US flew that U-2 spy plane, and they found that there is the in Cuban there is a preparation going on to establish a ballistic missile site. Okay, Now, Russia was doing this in response to the US missile being based at Turkey and in Europe. So it was saying, okay, we will base the missile out there. Now, this was discussed. US and John F. Kennedy decided that, okay, or either we strike that place or we carry out a naval blockade, that no more ships can come to Cuba, Russian ships. Here, Russian ships were sailing towards Cuba. So now this was a kind of touch and go situation where a war could take place anytime. If I just um bring another factor in there, this is around 20 October 22, 26, 27, 27 was, and October 20, China
China
attacked
attack.
India. China attacked India, and Nehru used to believe in Panchsheel and mutual respect and peaceful coexistence, etc. So he got a shock. We were not that well prepared at that time, and India requested US for help.
Absolutely.
Because China attacking India requested US, although the help came much later. It came much later, like China declared unilateral ceasefire on 21st November, and the aid started coming by end of November, around 30th November
Yeah.
or so. But they promised. Okay. Now, here what happened, by October 27, there was a back channel talk when in Robert Kennedy and USSR ambassador, and it was decided that if you stop this installation of missiles in Cuba, we will withdraw our missiles from Turkey.
Correct.
So, as this ship was approaching that blockade and US ship, it was Russia asked it, or Soviet Russia asked it to turn back, and those guys turned back, and the crisis was over. But then this thing from 13 days of crisis, 14th October to 28th October, the issue was discussed in UN. US expected India to fully support
Yeah.
US point of view, especially when they were helping India as far as the Chinese aggression was concerned.
Okay.
But India took that non-aligned path, that there should not be any war, all hostilities should stop, the blockade should be over, let's pull back from this brink and talk and resolve the issue. Finally, the same thing happened, but it really didn't go in the US camp and started criticizing USSR, that why are you setting up the missile out here. It didn't join any camp. It was very clear cut that please stop wherever you are and talk. So there was a divergence, like US felt
Absolutely.
that whenever there is a crisis, India really doesn't support me. And if anything, it creates a feeling that you are tilting towards Soviet Russia. Now, we come
I
to,
can see a lot of parallels coming to the present day, sir. So it is becoming very interesting, sir. Please continue.
yes. So if you consider, you can jot down like the things which are happening now also. We are taking
Correct.
a very clear-cut path, an independent path, which to a country it might hurt, because he's thinking I'm giving you support, so you might reciprocate in this manner. Okay. Now,
Absolutely.
next we come to Vietnam. Now, Vietnam was part of French Indochina. Second World War got over. Vietnamese started fighting for independence. In 1954, they defeated the French in Dien Bien Phu. It was that time that the French went into a Geneva Convention with Vietnam and said, okay, there will be diversion along 17th parallel. One north of parallel is North Vietnam, south of parallel is South Vietnam. And then French withdrew. Now, US took the onus of stopping communist movement south of 17th parallel. And China took the responsibility, and Russia took the responsibility that the Vietnam should be united. And this started the war, which continued for a very long time. Lot of people died. Finally, US had to leave that place, and after it left, the North Vietnam moved down, and the whole Vietnam got united once again. US stayed there, fought this
Absolutely.
war, a very brutal war where thousands of people died. A lot of chemical weapon and napalm, etc., were used. It was very brutal, and it was just to stop the progress of communism. Now, here, US wanted
Absolutely.
India to support US in UN, call out China and Russia are aggressor, call out that they are trying to spread the communism, India also being a democracy, so democracy should be
Yes.
together. Okay. India saw it as a colonial interference in a local affair. It asked that, okay, it is North Vietnam, South Vietnam, both are Vietnamese, they can resolve the thing. They can come to UN and it can be resolved. You, as a colonial and outside power, do not have any right to go and stay and fight. No one has asked you, kind of thing. So it advocated a UN supported ceasefire, which subsequently did happen, but it didn't support US in any manner. So again, because it didn't support
Absolutely.
US consider it that it is supporting Soviet Russia. Now, another issue came up, which is very close to our heart. Um, Continuous supply of US arms to Pakistan. We in
Hmm.
India, we in
Now,
India
because
said
we're coming closer to 65, we're coming closer to 65, sir.
it
So,
started.
yes,
It was happening from before 65 also, and all the time
correct.
we were telling US, please don't supply the arms to Pakistan. It is against India's security. Okay. We thought that US being a democracy, we being a democracy, US will stop supplying the arms to Pakistan. But US strategic interest was to stop Soviet Russia movement to south. So two treaties took place: SEATO, Southeast Asia Treaty Organization, and CENTO, Central Treaty Organization. One was Manila based and the other was Baghdad based.
Both can be said to be precursor or predecessors of the present day NATO, sir.
No, they were in parallel to NATO. NATO was already there.
Okay.
They
Okay.
were trying to replicate NATO in Asia.
Okay.
So CENTO had Pakistan, Iran, and Turkey in that. So it was supposed to be the first barrier against Soviet Russia in case it wants to move into the oil-rich place of, say, Kuwait or Saudi Arabia or somewhere. Okay. So US made Pakistan also member of CENTO and SEATO both. And because Pakistan was member of CENTO and SEATO, Pakistan was given a lot of arms, which include those F-86 Sabre jet or Patton tank and all these things. These were not given to fight against India. It was
Correct.
given as a bulwark against Soviet expansion to south. India kept pointing that these
Absolutely.
will be used against India. And in 65, they were used. India kept pointing they will be used against India. It was used again in 71. But then US saw its strategic interest against USSR and kept giving and didn't listen to us. So there was a massive divergence. We said that a democracy is not friend to a democracy, and you are supporting another country which is being ruled by a military general. Okay, so
And
there.
sir, to add to what you're saying, sir, uh, Pakistan, right from day one, from the time of creation, had given them the bases, also air bases, to carry out the surveillance of that time the USSR and access to Karachi ports.
Yes, yes, yes.
So it
Pakistan
was
had given. There was, like, we were democracy. We didn't. We never called any outside country to make bases, military bases here, and we didn't give this
correct,
facility to anyone. But for Pakistan, this was not a hurdle.
correct.
Okay, whosoever was paying money and wherever it thought that it can gain some advantage, it did that. So it gave a basis to US from where this U2 used to fly. and
correct,
used to go to Russia and all. That's how that guy Gary Powell got shot. It got airborne from
correct.
Pakistan, went somewhere, landed again, got airborne, and then got shot over Russia.
The airfield near Peshawar called, I think, Bada Bear. Bada Bear.
Operated from there.
Correct,
Okay. Now, next we come to war in 1971.
correct,
Okay. Pakistan started all this carnage in East Pakistan. The lot of people died in that. India had 10 million refugees. There were massive genocide which was going on. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi went on her own to US and different places and explained people what is happening here. On the other hand, what was happening, Pakistan was helping US in making inroads in China.
correct.
Pakistan was the
We-
one which arranged the meeting between Nixon and Mao at that time.
Correct.
So when India said that this is happening and you must stop supporting Pakistan and do something about it, US didn't listen because it was not bothered about all the ideal thing about stopping genocide or helping out the refugees. It was
No,
looking.
sir. Another very interesting aspect is that that agitation was following a free and fair elections,
It was
and
following a.
primarily again it was a democratic process which was being followed in the country, which again US supported the monarchical army leaders and did not do anything.
Dictatorship.
Dictatorship.
Like
Absolutely.
dictatorship. So US supported that. Now, uh, going logically, US should have supported India, but US looked after its strategic interests. So India went to the war. On top of it, like it didn't stop here that in US didn't stop supporting Pakistan. US sent the Seventh Fleet, USS Enterprise, to Bay of Bengal to warn India to stop action. But fortunately, by then, most of the war was over and East Pakistan, Bangladesh was liberated. But imagine in this again, it was the realist outlook that my interest lies here, which governed the relationship between India and US. Not the idealist think that this is the correct thing to do, that genocide is happening, we must oppose genocide. Okay, there is a democratic country. We should support a democratic country, not a dictatorship. Ayub Khan was dictator in
Yes.
Pakistan. Okay, but then Ayub Khan was instrumental in arranging the meeting between Nixon and Mao. Next, we come to this nuclear blast. Once it took place in 1974, next time in 1998. Once the Prime Minister was Indira Gandhi, next time Prime Minister was Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Both the time, India did it for the own security purpose. We were in a area of the world where our adversary was a nuclear power. We also have the nuclear policy of no first use.
Yes.
In spite of all this, US thought that what we did was against its policy of NPT and CTBT,
Hmm.
and it created the sanction. We did feel hurt that we are a democracy and there's so many other countries who got the nuclear weapon, and it is not understanding our compulsion to go nuclear way because China is nuclear, and it is question of our sovereignty.
Yes.
Okay, that cannot be compromised. But then US thought you are going against my strategic aim of NPT and CTBT, so they applied
Hmm.
sanction. Here, when the sanction, the 74 sanction, so I was not in service, but 98 sanction, I was in service. And it did affect us, but the kudos to the government at both the time that we really stood our ground. We didn't give up. Okay, our
Hmm.
progress, although slowed down, but it continued.
Correct.
If we come again further up, this Camp David Accord took place.
Yeah.
I'm talking the entire thing, how every time, whenever a major thing happened, we somehow found ourselves on the divergent path. The Camp David Accord took place in 1978. It accord was between Egypt and Israel.
Correct.
That's how in 1982 Egypt got the Sinai Desert back. Now it was in the broader policy of US so that it is recognized a major power as a major power in Middle East and people start following its instruction. That's how it did it. But India said that there was no representation of Palestine here. So you haven't sorted out the Palestine problem. It is just a two thing. And Egypt, rest of the Arab countries also felt left out. So Egypt was thrown out of Arab League and stayed out of Arab League till 1989. So it was the two, this thing, US looked at a very narrow vision of creating a peace between Egypt and Israel and creating a goodwill there, in the process leaving the rest of the Middle East and not making an attempt to sign the to sort out the Palestine problem, whereas India wanted the whole thing to be handled together. The Palestinian problem should be sorted out in one go.
Correct.
Okay, which didn't happen. So we had the divergent view. Do you have time? We can continue
Yes,
on
sir.
this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We quickly we will go on for a few more points, and then I will have my questions.
Yeah, yeah. Now, next we come to this Soviet-Afghan war. Okay. Now, Soviets started interfering in Afghanistan from 1974, etc. When King Jair Khan was overthrown and communist government started coming in,
Correct.
and one communist government pulled down another communist government, and the infighting started. Here, US was worried that the USSR is coming into Afghanistan and very soon it will come to Pakistan and come to this warm port. So it
Correct.
started supporting Pakistan, started giving weapons to Pakistan and arming Mujahideens.
Correct.
India, it wanted India to go against USSR present in Afghanistan. But by then, so many things had happened in 1979, and especially US support of USSR when we had a fight with Pakistan, that India didn't categorically called out USSR that it has come to
Yeah.
Afghanistan. It said that Afghanistan should maintain peace and stability. Outside power should withdraw. Outside power should not interfere. It requested US that again don't give the arms to Mujahideen because it will
Yeah.
become uncontrolled, and these arms subsequently will be used anywhere. Like it is putting oil in the flame.
Yeah.
Okay, so it will increase the fire even. But then it was a divergence, total divergence, that US wanted Indian support. India said that no, peace should continue. We come almost to the recent times, 2000 Afghan war. I was in embassy of Kabul from 2007 to 2009 when US was there. Now this Afghan war took place. US overthrew Taliban. It tried to establish a democratic government out there, worked for it in 20 years. It wanted India to take part and send its troops.
Yeah.
Prime Minister Manmohan Singh out here took a very clear stand that the forces which are there, ISF, which is a NATO, this thing, they are not UN mandated force.
Yes.
Unless it is UN mandated, we will not go. We will provide all kind of help, assistance, but nothing lethal will provide out there.
And that time, sir, Iraq was also they wanted us to
I
send
was
to
coming
Iraq
to that.
as well as to Afghanistan.
Yeah, you good that you told me. I was coming to that. And on 2003, when US started fighting in Iraq, again it wanted India to send troops. See, US was fighting two wars simultaneously. One in 2000, it started in 2001 in Afghanistan, and other one in Iraq. So it was kind of stressed, and it wanted help from all the allies from wherever it could get. But we said very categorically, these are not UN mandated mission. these things should be resolved in UN. And in case
Yeah.
UN says that put a peacekeeping or something, then we will do it. Otherwise, it is a no go. So we took a very clear
Correct.
stand out here as far as the foreign policy is concerned, that we are not joining your camp against another camp.
Absolutely.
So we will maintain our sovereignty and independence. Lastly, we come to the recent thing that
Yeah.
Russia Ukraine. Now, Russia
Correct.
Ukraine, what took place? US wanted India to um, go against Russia, help Ukraine, or criticize Russia. All Prime Minister Modi said, like all his predecessors, that this is not time of war. This is the time for sit down, peace, and discuss. So it did hurt US that
Absolutely.
it's one of the biggest ally and the largest democracy in the world is not really with it, is not supporting the resistance which is being put to Russia. Okay. All the lot of small little things happened, like it wanted to impose sanction on Iran, but India kept buying oil from Iran.
Yeah.
India was buying oil from Venezuela. It wanted to put sanction on Venezuela. Here, India did stop because, as it is, Venezuela is quite far and it was working out costly, and we had the cheaper oil. So India did stop buying oil from Venezuela. But in all this, you see, both the countries acted as per their own
There.
interest. So now, if we go back to from where we started, the three basic things were there. US wanted India to be in its camp right from the beginning. India decided that I want to be non-aligned and independent, earlier as a NAM and now as a leader of Brig and leader of South. That as a
South.
growing democracy, I have got a role to play. I have a leadership responsibility. I'll speak on behalf of the others also. So we will not join any camp. The second thing was that India prioritized our regional economic security. So we talked to China also, we talked to Iran also, we've been talking to Russia also. Whereas US is looking from the global perspective and wanted us to stop talking to China, stop talking to Iran, and look at the global perspective. But we being the regional and in the area where China is your next door neighbor and you really can't stop talking to it, so we were on the divergence. These are the two main issues which were coming in between. The like we are aligned in a lot of issues because both have a democracy and we believe in the human values and ethos, etc. But these are the two major differences where we were not. We were on the divergent path.
Sir, it's an excellent recap of events. Coming on to what you have said that recently, uh, what is being told, and like I had mentioned in the opening one, the tariffs, the sanctions. After that warmth that was there between the two leaders, which you had also referred to, and this situation came as a shock to the Indian policy makers, and or we were not expecting it to go down so badly, according to you, because this is what we've been hearing that if Trump comes back, there are reports in the newspapers where they're saying कि the Indian diaspora तो ढोल लेके वहां पर बजा रहा था जब ट्रम्प को वापस लाने के लिए. And on the other hand, one betrayal by China in 1962, our psyche has gone so deep that even when you write something about the possibility of India-China rapprochement, like it happened with me, I wrote a few months back, and I got a lot of comments that never ever rely on China. But why is it that time and again we going back to the US?
See, in the beginning, I had covered that realist theory and the
Correct.
idealist theory. So, if whatever things I covered, now if you just look at it, India and US both work towards the from the realist point of view. Now, if US pressed India, to reduce energy and defense ties with Russia after Ukraine war. Okay, but India didn't do it. It has got nothing to do with the ideology. It is India's need to secure affordable energy and maintain military readiness. Okay, it is a realist part of the country that
Absolutely.
I need energy for my country. I need my military readiness because we have got two adversaries on to this thing. So we really can't follow this. So it is not the this thing. So anything that we do is a realist one. Similarly, when US is engaging with India, it is not that it is a up ki baat Trump Sarkar or Howdy Modi or we are very friendly and together. No, there are no permanent friends or this thing.
Hmm.
US is helping India because India is the only country in Asia which can be a counterbalance to China. If the chips are down, there is no one else who can help. So, in their national interest for balance of power of foreign policy, they are supporting India. There are a lot of other democratic countries. Why has US gone and given you the latest weapons and aircraft? It is he is making you strong so that in time the chips are down, it you can be of some help. That's what like is the basic premise. So it is no affinity for a democratic country. It is just pure really. So
Absolutely.
presently also when he is applying duties on India, it is the self-interest that he is applying because if you apply the same logic, he has not applied the duties over China. China is also buying the oil from Russia. Okay, but it is self-interest because if he applies duty on China, China will apply duty on him. He will not
Counter.
stop getting rare earth. So he has applied the duty. So it is just a self-interest. It has got nothing to do with ideology. It has got nothing to do with the friendship or the long-term plan.
But do you think, sir, we are more emotional about the whole issue and now we're learning?
I think we are more emotional. I think we should learn. I should think we should open up our foreign policy. We should make more friends or create our national interest in some more places so that we don't get this kind of root shock where like it was US was our largest trade partner. So
Yes.
we should not get a root shock like this. So if once you start opening and you have more resilience, we will not get shocked in this manner.
But despite whatever relations we've had since Galwan, or for that matter, starting from Doklam, sir, the
Hmm.
trade with China has not suffered, sir.
Trade with
In
China
fact,
has
it
not
is always
suffered.
on the increase, sir.
Big yes, it is on the increase because as far as China is concerned, again it is a realist policy.
Yes, I was
We
about to
have
say that.
not, we have not allowed this border skirmish to come in between your country's progress. The kind of stuff which can China can provide and at the cost, India cannot get it from anywhere else. And ours is the major or the fastest growing major economy. We do need all
Absolutely.
kind of help or cheapest item as much as we are the
Hmm.
largest population in the world. So
Absolutely.
we really cannot afford to hold grudges against a country. So we are saying, okay, border problem is there. We will resolve in our good time. We'll discuss about it. We always educate, advise for discussion. And in the meanwhile, our trade will continue.
Absolutely. No, let's look at our immediate neighborhood also, sir. Uh, the military coup happens in Myanmar, and Aung San Suu Kyi is, prevented to form a government. We decided to break ties, and now after such a long time, now we're trying to go back. Nepal is another classic case, and you look at the way Chinese have reacted, irrespective of whichever form of government with whatever type of ideology is there, they have never ever, spoiled the relations with the countries. In fact, uh, we irrespective of whosoever is in power, we should deal with the it is after all that country's decision to put somebody in power, whether he's a dictator or he's a democratically elected person. And to be a realist, it should not make any difference to us.
Most of the countries uh, are doing it in this manner. You compartmentalize your different thing. No, your dispute is at one place. Like today, Philippines and China have got the open dispute
Correct?
running in South China Sea. But that
Correct.
doesn't mean that trade between Philippines and China has stopped.
No, it has not.
Okay, that
Oh,
similarly,
Japan and China, sir. Japan and China.
Japan and China, Vietnam and China, everyone
Sir,
has got dispute, but the trade is continuing. So most
yes,
of the world works toward this realist theory. We as an Indian are more emotional by nature.
sir.
Okay, we need to understand where our national interest lies and work according to that. Because like says, no friendship is permanent, only the interests are permanent.
No, I'll remind you of something we were discussing few days back, sir. And I think Jan Chaturvedi uses it quite often. कि भाई बिना तो प्रीत होती नहीं है. So little bit of leverage is required. तो
Yeah, yeah.
उसके बाद, so I mean, there has to be a good combination, and like in this particular case, we have to go ahead with our self-interest, and there is nothing wrong. Why should we have that moral compass on us to say that we did this or why
There
we
is
did wrong?
nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong between India and US. No, both have to do a calibrated adjustment. US must
Sir,
understand that our strategic culture, which is autonomy and non-alignment, US should stop forcing us to join his camp or go against someone else's camp because that will not work. So
absolutely.
there should be accommodation for this attitude of India, and there should be progress on trade, visa, technology transfer, because more you interact, the more friendship will increase that much more.
Absolutely.
And
Sir,
as far
we have, sorry, please continue.
and as far as India is concerned, we should be more proactive in our economic reforms, opening up the market to the extent possible, our defense partnership, our co-production opportunities. We need to make ourselves indispensable.
Absolutely.
Like today,
Absolutely.
China is indispensable for US. It cannot take a
Yes,
action. So we need
absolutely.
to become that what Prime Minister keeps saying, Atmanirbhar, and not only Atmanirbhar, we should start supporting like we did in COVID. We supplied vaccine to all over the world. Okay, so now we start doing such thing that will make us indispensable and more valuable to US than anything else. So now this thing works both ways. So both the countries have to do this calibrated adjustment.
Sir, there was
See,
one more question I wanted to ask, but I think that,
yeah,
yeah, please finish, sir.
no, I finished.
Okay. Sir, there was one more question, but I think Jan Chaturvedi is already asked. I'm looking for that. Yes. When you talk about make more friends, what all countries you have in mind?
You see, there are a lot of African countries. The African countries, again, the economies are growing. There are a lot of countries in South America. And present policy of Trump, where he is putting tariff on most of the countries. Now, these countries are also looking for the market. Okay, India with its 1.4 billion
Yeah,
population can be a very big market. Okay, so we should open up our own trade, get into the mutual bilateral trade treaties so that our own guys don't suffer, our own MSME don't suffer, and the other country, it is the mutually beneficial thing. Africa is a very big place which can be explored.
sir, your views on immediate neighborhood, sir, in our region?
Immediate neighborhood is like Pakistan and Pakistan is out of question. We are not it should be left alone. Okay, but as far as Bangladesh and Sri Lanka are concerned, we are doing a lot. For Bangladesh, we did a lot. Okay, we sorted out the problem of those enclaves on both sides. Now,
Correct.
unfortunately, this coup has taken place, but this dust will also settle. We should remember that it could be a temporary blip.
Hmm.
Because at the end of it, India is there on three sides of Bangladesh. Bangladesh really cannot survive by fighting against India. We should not when I was in Afghanistan, India supported Afghanistan so much and gave all the support not to the government but to the local people.
Correct.
Like there was a saying that in case Smriti Irani comes and contests the election in Afghanistan, she will win. Her photograph was there on the Blue China pottery, etc. Okay, every day the radio used to sing praises for India-Afghanistan friendship. It was because
Yes.
whatever we were doing it for the public out there. Similarly, whatever I feel, whatever we are doing with the public, okay, not the government side, but in case there is a some scheme which is going on, which is directly beneficial to the public, we should continue. We are doing similar thing with Sri Lanka when they had a crisis. We
Yeah.
extended the line of credit to them, and courtesy India that line of credit that the Sri Lanka could recover from the
Yes. Recover from the crisis. Absolutely.
crisis. Look at Maldives. We supported the public local in Maldives when this new president came. His name Mizuzu or something. The name is I
Correct. Yeah,
hardly
Mizuzu.
pronounced. Okay,
Sir.
he was so much pro-China, but then he found
Correct.
that he really cannot survive without India's help, and we did provide help to them. Prime Minister
Sir,
been there recently.
I'm reminded of a quote by a Chinese military officer in one of the meetings that I attended. Firstly, he says that geography dictates. Whatever you may say, geography dictates. And in case the geography is not helping you, you deploy platforms and take actions to ensure that the geography dictates in your favors.
Yeah.
So if we look at the way you have explained Bangladesh, similar thing is applicable to Nepal.
Similarly,
China may make any amount of roads and that friendship highway after the earthquake is not usable. Look at the distances and look at our side. Unfortunately, we're not looking, and like we said that we are getting unnecessarily carried away by being morally correct or something of that sort.
no, I think our government is very much aware and they are
Yeah.
doing the needful. It is the
Absolutely.
normal public at the
Yes.
lower level which gets sentimental totally. Otherwise, can Nepal survive without India? It cannot. Anyone falls sick, first thing he will come to Gorakhpur or Lucknow or somewhere here. No, he will not go to Beijing from Kathmandu. No, he may die en route only. Okay, so really Nepal cannot survive with us. So we should keep that door and we should always act like a bigger
Big
power.
brother. Yes, sir. Big brother. Because the Nepalese also, when you talk to them in private, they always say, "यार तुम लोग हमेशा ही dictate करते रहते हो." घर पे भी सर बड़ा भाई if he keeps interfering and keeps telling the छोटा भाई कि because of me तू तेरे को खाना मैं दे रहा हूँ, तेरे को पीना मैं दे रहा हूँ, तो छोटा भाई भी rebel कर जाएगा.
Yeah, true.
Sir, we'll take suddenly a lot of questions have emerged. Kal Jitendra Chauhan, sir, how is Pakistan going to balance between the US and China? Do you think China is going to give the space in Pakistan?
No, if you have been following the newspaper, recently Chinese foreign minister went to Afghanistan and Pakistan was also there. Okay, and they worked out that CPC 2.0, where there will be more roads, there will be more mining. So Pakistan is keeping its door open on both the sides.
Correct.
Okay. So it is getting the support from US for whatever reason. US is giving support, and as I see it, whenever US gave support to Pakistan, it had an ulterior motive. Now we need to
Absolutely.
wait and because it supported Pakistan in '79 when it had to overthrow Soviets. After that, it pulled out. Then it supported
Yes.
Pakistan when the Taliban's were there. After that, it moved out. Now it is again supporting Pakistan. So there has to be some reason that we'll have to wait and see what is the reason. But Pakistan is not going to dilute its relationship with China. The
Yeah.
CPEC 2.0 is coming up. It will get more weapons. Although US is helping Pakistan, but how much of weapon it will give, that again is question, because a lot of issues will come up that you see, with India, the issues come up that we have the Russian equipment, so US says we cannot give you this equipment because you have Russian equipment. Now it is more difficult with Pakistan, who has all the Chinese equipment. Okay, for the
Absolutely.
time being, for whatever reason, US will keep supporting Pakistan, but Pakistan will not leave China.
But
It's
वो ये
farewell.
सर पाकिस्तान ने they have mastered the art of traveling on two boats. Somehow
Yeah,
they've been surviving since so long, since 70s onward. They've been
they have
doing
been
it and
surviving.
exploiting from both sides.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shritik Kothari asked, sir, I might be making castles in the sky here, but over a long term, would it be a good idea to gain leverage in US like Israel? We can funnel money to politicians and secure our interests.
No, we can, the easier or better way will be to become no self dependent, progress
Yes,
within the country. With, like I said, we should become indispensable to US. We should create our own technology, or we should progress so much that we become an equal partner to US, rather than doing this underhand thing presently. Also, uh, Israel helps out US also in lot of manner. There are a lot of technology,
absolutely.
especially with the weapons, etc., which they share. Okay. We need to become good in all that so that US considers us equal.
Absolutely.
And our
Well,
diaspora in US also is doing the needful. They
they're doing the
they,
needful.
they are doing very well in US, and all this creates a favorable image of the country.
Absolutely, absolutely. Colonel RP sir, USA against terrorism, yet Bin Laden hiding in Pakistan. Why US continue to engage with and provide aid to Pakistan? Does US in self-interest promoting regional instability and terrorism? Is USA mother of terrorism?
RP sir is very strong with his words. Uh, sir, I tell you, I was in Afghanistan when this war was going on. Okay, as far as US is concerned, वो हिंदी में कहते हैं ना कि वो क्या था, उस सांप नेवले वाली दशा हो गई थी, ना खाया जा रहा था ना उगला जा रहा था टाइप. Now US has got fight with Iran on one side, so it cannot go to Afghanistan via Iran. From north side, you come from Uzbekistan, you come from Tajikistan, or you come from Turkmenistan, you will have to take Russian permission to come, which it didn't want to. So the only place open to US to go to Afghanistan was via Pakistan, and it had to keep Pakistan in good humor. In the thick of war, any truck passing through Pakistan or going into Afghanistan at the border, US contractors were paying $1,000 per truck,
Yes.
and this $1,000 was going to Taliban,
Hmm.
and Taliban were attacking US forces. US had set up joint team with Pakistan, which were monitoring the border movement. The radars were set up, joint team where the US troops were also there and Pakistani troops were also there, but still Pakistan didn't stop supporting Taliban. That was Pakistan's national interest. US
Absolutely.
couldn't, US couldn't become very strict with Pakistan. Otherwise, US had to pull out from Afghanistan. So the
Absolutely.
20 years of US effort, and I was there, and I must tell you, there were a lot of effort, a lot of US guys died also out there. But 20 years of US effort went in vain because Pakistan's support to Taliban.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely
Okay.
correct.
And US just couldn't do, because if they become very strict, Pakistan can say his airspace is not available, or his land is not available, and that will force US to pull out from there.
Sir,
It did.
we have a lot of value additions on Janal Chaturvedi for the information of our viewers. I will cover all of them in the end. We will just tackle the questions first. Sir. Future DGRT sir asks, sirs, allow me to play devil's advocate here. If I am US, why won't I pressure India to accelerate my objectives? This is a country dependent on Chinese imports and US exports. Makes sense to press on.
uh, it will be counterproductive. See,
Yes.
whatever is happening now, the much serious things have happened in past. like the nuclear blast in 1974 and 1998. In 1974, our economy was even close. We were not exporting anything. In 1998, the liberalization had just started, but we
Correct.
survived at that time. We didn't bend and join any camp. So there is no guarantee that today, with there's a global trade all over, and as it is, there is a restriction, the US sanctions, etc., that 50% duty, but we are not bending. So you apply more pressure, probably the things will go worse, because I don't see
Absolutely.
any Indian leader bending down or joining any camp and leaving this path of independent path.
Absolutely. Sam Keating has asked a very strong words again he's used, but we must answer this. Sir, I understand your people to people connect, but in case of Bangladesh, where 70 to 80% of people are radicals, of whom many would like to take over our territory, impose Sharia, this does not make sense.
Now, saying that 70 to 80% people are radicals, that statement itself needs
Yes,
clarification, that from where you got this idea that 70 to 80% people are radical. Just remember, to create a chaos, to create a unrest, you don't need 70 to 80% people. You
yes,
just need 3 to 5% people or 1 to 2% people to create a chaos. Because rest of the people are peace loving, they are staying at home. Just because they are staying at home, that doesn't mean that they are participating or of same attitude. Okay,
absolutely.
we have coexisted as two independent country for such a long time. Before that, it existed as East Pakistan. So I don't see any reason for animosity.
Sir, one point I would like to add here, sir.
When
Sorry.
military coup took place in Pakistan, earlier one also against Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and this one also, it was not a major part of the population which did that.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, it escalated when the Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was killed. It was small group of army officers who did that, and then subsequently it escalated and spread all over the place. Okay, and it is like bhed chal. Once it starts, then everyone starts moving in that direction. We need to wait, let the things settle down, and it will be as peaceful as it was earlier.
absolutely. Sir, one more point I would like to make here. Compared to the other parts of the world, the Bengalis are more, they are inclined more towards their language and culture and this thing compared to any other Muslim-speaking countries. So the bond between India and Bangladesh, because of the language affinity and thing, is much stronger. And like you very rightly pointed out, there are very few people who are radicalized. And now there is a time that the expectation can always be there. Sir, quickly, like I mentioned, I will now flash General Chaturvedi's value additions, which he has said. US always supports autocratic regimes that shows its double standard. You had covered this, sir. UK was part of CENTO and also Iraq till it had coup by General Qasim, sir. Then, of course, he's commented on most of the things. Zahir Shah was overthrown by his own cousin Daud in 1973. Communist regime came to Afghanistan only in 1979. Correction, 78, when Taraki overthrew Muhammad Daud Khan. He's putting the thing with the thing. Okay, this is an interesting comment by him, sir. US invested more due to lure of Indian market, particularly post-Greek computer refusal, and India also refusing to buy cryogenic engines from the US. In fact, it came as a blessing in disguise at that time that we went in for our own systems,
Supercomputer.
supercomputers. Right, sir. Let me check if we have left out any questions, sir, before we call it a day. Okay, he is appreciating your point, regarding enhancing interdependency. It's a part of good policy. I think, sir, by and large, we've covered most of the questions, sir. Thank you very much for an in-depth analysis. I permitted it to go beyond the scheduled time because there are very few channels who are covering. So what emerges very clearly is that India and US converge on certain issues, but diverge when strategic autonomy of India is US is trying to compromise that strategic autonomy. The China factor, has probably pushed both of us in the past together. But now I feel that the reverse may be happening. If US pushes us too much, we can we have to take into consideration the utterings in Russia and China about reviving or strengthening RIC, Russia, India, China alliance. So let's see how much pressure is put by which camp.
Here, Rakesh, it's slightly different. We have always followed no alliance.
We have followed no alliance, sir, but then overtly,
I
sir.
think we will continue with this no alliance thing.
Okay.
We will have more trade with Russia and China, because at the end of it, we need to keep looking at our national interest, where our national interest lies. Friendship or animosity can take a back seat.
Okay, I take your point, sir. But what I was trying to point out is that you have to tell the other side that we have options. You cannot dictate us that way, sir.
True.
That
True.
we can at least और कुछ नहीं तो sir narratives तो create किए जा सकते हैं, sir.
True.
That we have the option.
We have the option. Yes. Yeah.
So that sort of my point was primarily that, sir. And if it comes to, like they say, the push comes to shove, we have the options. Sir, thank you very much once again. It was a very interesting discussion, though we overshot the time. But I think it was worth spending time on the issue, sir. Thank you, sir, and Jai Hind.
Thanks, Rakesh.